Hello everybody, I figured we'd just start out with one of the worst possible games I could have had. The best current meta deck as far as I'm aware, which is Zoodiac Tribrigade, and he manages to resolve a max C. Also, this is during Season 4, I had a 7-win streak at some point, and actually would have been an 11 if I hadn't messed something up. Either way, since he did resolve the max C, I decided to go into the Brax combo so I can get out of Baronne the Fleur on his turn with minimal special summons. Of course, I'll special summon in defense mode, but he somehow have another max C, so it didn't even matter that I tried to play conservatively. I should have just gone all out, but I've lost a lot of games where I've just been like, okay, I had no cross-out designator called by the grave or Ash Blossom, so I'll just, you know, keep playing, and then they have a kaiju and they get rid of my entire board, and you know, all the garbage that decks can do. It's gonna be fine. I have the negate. I should have negated when he banished. That's usually when it's best to banish or to negate tri-brigades, in my opinion at least. Which this resulted in him having one more card on the field that he wouldn't have had otherwise. And this means that he has to send my Baronne the Fleur to the graveyard instead of, you know, maybe summon Fractal, and then instead of summoning the third yet, he would have summoned the Ancient Warrior to return it to my extra deck. But this way it actually secures that I can Monster Reborn, and I also just barely survive, I guess you could say. Sadly, he summons an Appaloosa, and I haven't managed to draw any of my Dark Ruler no more, or anything that can deal with it, like Infinite Impermanence, or... like, I have so many cards that can deal with this, but I just didn't draw it, even though I mean, I still have 35 cards in my deck, I guess, so... I guess that's it. Don't know why I would use Max C here. I think I was trying to bait out the Appaloosa, like hope he panicked or something, but no. I should have waited for him to activate the Tri-brigade Revolt. There were no reason to activate Max C because I already had Harpy's Feather Dust, so like he was gonna activate it no matter what if he wanted to. He does Call by the Grave on the Psy Reflector, which is a good call. Like, that really limits my plays if I could have gotten rid of the Appaloosa. However, if he had known that I had Monster Reborn, he would probably have gotten rid of the Baronne de Fleur. So at this stage, I just need to negate out 3 negates from the Appaloosa so I can Monster Reborn. And this stage, luckily, I have the Monster Reborn, but you gotta think about this. Like, sure, maybe I wouldn't have had Monster Reborn in my hand, but then maybe I had the Dark Ruler no more, or the Lightning Storm, or something else that could have given me an out here. So even if I didn't have the Monster Reborn, I had many plays in my deck that would have allowed me to. Here he does bait out my Red Rain, which I'm surprised he didn't activate the Arsenal Zeus effect, which would have forced out my negate so I couldn't use it here. But maybe he thought that it counted as his being the highest level, even though it specifies level on Red Rain. Either way, let's pretend that for some reason that he did get out the Chirac there. I didn't negate it. He would have used like a beatdown because Red Rain makes it so that my card is unaffected on the turn it's activated. Either way, this would have been the result. I would have had 200 life and not have the Baronne de Fleur, and then I would have gone into this play instead. Which would just be getting my Red Supernova Dragon. Honestly, at this stage, the reason why I do this is just to flex on the guy, because I know he's playing the best deck and he's in a very bad state right now, even though he managed to resolve him, like 2 Max Cs against me actually. Just screw me over completely with Max C. Now, something interesting this deck can actually do is that it can summon 2 Red Supernova Dragon in one turn. And it does this by using the Synchron Resonator to return the Chain Resonator while still having a light monster in the graveyard. Luckily we have both, well, the Cyframe Gear Gamma, but we also have the Shooting Rising Dragon in the graveyard. The reason why I didn't use the Shooting Rising Dragon is because I want to slap him for 8,000 damage in one turn, which I managed to do here with my Rainbow Foil Red Supernova Dragon. This guy actually made me go first with his win on the coin flip, so I had the suspicion that he was a Numeron OTK, and as a result, I'm literally gonna summon King Calamity on his turn. That's my goal here. Like, no matter what, I just want him to not be able to do anything with his Numeron OTK. Now, I'm in for a grim surprise, because this is actually a degenerate Eldlich player that plays Numeron OTK in this deck, as you'll soon find out. Regardless, I managed to set up for the King Calamity, but this is also a very excellent display of how... well, actually, I made it so even if he had an Ash Blossom there, he wouldn't have been able to cancel the Brax. So that's a nice play you can keep in mind if you end up using the Synchron Resonator as one of the materials for it. Just feel like that's important. But yeah, I see this and I'm just like, yeah, okay. You're just a Numeron deck, one-trick pony. Let me just make it so that you can't do your trick, and then I'll win, of course, because that's how it works. And this is where it shows, oh, he's Eldlich. And you can see he's Eldlich, so he can just keep playing even though he can't activate effects or anything. Because you can just discard the Eldlich, and then he can activate the Eldlich from the graveyard, because you can do that even with King Calamity's effect having resolved. So at this stage I'm trying to go into plan B mode here, get the Abyss going. Also get back Chaos Ruler so I could go into a Bane. I actually added Bane to this version of the deck, so felt like mentioning that instead of the, I guess, Draco Berserker of Tenjiro. But since this is not really that relevant anymore because DD Dynamite is going to be limited to 2, I'm going to be running a 15 card extra deck again. So I'm going to add Scarlight to the deck and maybe a Clearwing, or what is it, Crystal Wing, Synchro Dragon or something, or maybe something else. I'm not entirely sure what I'm going to add as the 15th. I have no reason to negate this because he can't attack through the Chaos Ruler, and neither can he attack through the Hot Red Dragon. So I know that he's gonna bring out this one from the graveyard because obviously, why wouldn't he? But the other ones can't take down my Chaos Ruler, and that makes me able to set up for quite a nice play on my turn. Yeah, that'll allow me to search out my Crimson Resonator. And I don't really care what he's doing anymore because I'm planning to finish the game right here, right now. Just gonna show my Rainbow Foil and then attack him for so much damage that you wouldn't even believe. And that's how you take care of a Numeron Eldlich Degenerate. This is against Drytron. I feel like that's pretty important to mention. And at this stage, I just want to have my negate. I also have the Red Rain, which is lucky, so that's like 2 ways to screw over a Drytron player. Also, never put this in the extra zone, just a hint there. But yeah, you see the Herald is there. And I just go into a Baronne de Fleur because now I have a negate. I was considering to negate that, but I didn't really need to. I'm waiting for him to play something that feels like it's worth negating. And I also have the Red Rain, so I'm not really too scared of him bringing out, you know, something nasty. Just gonna see what he's gonna do. At this stage, he's obviously trying to bait out my negate. That's why he's flipping back and forth, so I make him jump through hoops, and it's not really working out the way he wants to. And at this stage, I'm like, oh, I can just activate Red Rain, and then it kind of negates your ritual spell, doesn't it? And he concedes. I didn't even need to use the negate. So he was playing too much around my negate, and then I ended up banishing his monster, and I still had a negate in case he had a backup plan. This game is going to be against Skystrikers, and following this game is another Skystriker game. And obviously he has an Ash Blossom, why wouldn't he have? I called by the Graveyard, which then leads to a Maxi, which usually is more devastating if they can resolve a Maxi. And especially a Skystriker deck really benefits from having extra cards, so this is not good. But it gets worse. You see, I'm trying to find something, and then it turns out he has another hand trap, an Effect Veiler. And all I needed to find was a Crimson Resonator or something else so I could go into a nice monster. Skystriker might be one of the decks that I have the most problems with usually, especially before adding the Kristen Hulk with Rex combo, because summoning King Calamity seems to work really well against Skystrikers. And since I noticed that it was Skystriker, that's why I played the Wild Wind, because I noticed, oh yeah, okay, Maxi, Ash Blossom, and the Effect Veiler, yeah, it's probably a Skystriker deck. Here, it kind of confuses me why I didn't take control over it. He has more than 3 spells in the graveyard, so he should have taken control over it. But I'm just gonna play as if he had taken control over it, because I don't need his charity. I am not gonna take that chance. I need the, what is it, the Abyss, and then I need to summon the King Calamity. And obviously I could have put down the Hulk with Abraxia and set it up with that, but in a optimal world this guy wouldn't have made a mistake and would have actually taken control of my monster. So I'm just, you know, playing around it. Because I can. I guess if I couldn't, then I probably wouldn't have played around it, but whatever. And there's no reason not to negate this here, because I'm ending my turn anyways. This is where I go into the King Calamity, and that should pretty much seal the deal for him this turn. At this stage I can just pull this back and put it at level 8 to get a Baronne de Fleur, so I'm not surprised by his face down or whatever else he's gonna pull off against me. Maybe even negate the Skystriker, but he just concedes because he's had enough. We're against another Skystriker here, and I decided to just play conservatively, get what I would think would be a secure Baronne de Fleur and also a bit of extra HP, just because having a bit more than 8000 HP is pretty good. My combo gets shut down here because he's a Skystriker deck. Obviously he starts with the Widow Anchor in his hand. Obviously. So if I had actually gone for the Assault Beast with the Crimson Resonator, I would have been absolutely devastated here. So I believe I went for the right play, going for the Baronne the Fleur play. I don't know how many... I mean, yeah, there's infinite impermanence, and I guess that would be a problem as well. But then it's more likely they use it to shut down the combo earlier. He also turns out to have some evil twin support, which is... or like, whatever the twin support is. Which, very confusing to me, but... I don't know, maybe he's just trying to play around a lot of whole different things. Was a bit unlucky that I got the synchron resonator with the scry there, but whatever. I still managed to go into it, and I also gained some more health, just because there were no reason to waste the special summon, I guess. But I believe I'm trying to end the game here, so let's see. Ah, yeah, he conceded, that's it. Didn't want me to complete my damage done daily. Here we have a magic in Cyber Dragons, which is basically the prime example of why you don't put monsters in these zones if you can at all avoid it. Also, he starts off with an Ash Blossom, don't have my crossout designators or Call by the Grave against them, obviously. So I end up going into plan B here. Honestly, you may make an argument that I could have just used those two to get my Baronne the Fleur out, right? But this game is a great example of why it sometimes can be rewarding to go for the Chaos Ruler gamble, especially since I also got a lot of HP there. Like, I got nothing here. This was like one of the worst scenarios I could have gotten there. Sometimes that happens and you just have to, you know, I went for that gamble. I could have gotten a Baronne de Fleur, but luckily I have it in defense mode, so you can't yoink it as a material. And I got a... luckily I got a Dark Ruler no more there. Here I make the call that I won't Call by the Grave in case he has another Ash Blossom, which he didn't, which means now I have to gamble for the... I guess Crimson Resonator if I want to go into a Red Supernova Dragon, which luckily happened this time. I mean, yeah, if I get like 5 spell cards the other time, then obviously this time there's basically no spell cards left in my deck and I'll get it, right? That's how it works. I also forget that I played the whole Dark Ruler no more, and so did he, because it's not taking any damage anyways. Also, making the right choice by attacking with Red Supernova Dragon first. Yeah, I should definitely not have played the Chaos Ruler here, but... obviously he kaijus it, he searches out the kaiju and then he kaijus it. Why wouldn't he? He's Cyber Dragons after all. And this is where I'm so happy that I saved the Crystal Halcrypt Rex. Basically turning I would have lost the game into King Calamity on his turn. And then I'm even going into an Abyss so I can negate something. And the idea here is actually that I reduce the level to, I believe, yeah, I do it like this instead. I try and reduce the level of the Halcrypt Rex to 2 so that I can use the Abyss for the King Calamity summon, which is also important to know that you can do this. So this is a way where I can negate the card that he plays and then go into a King Calamity. So you can see he just activates that graveyard effect because you can still do that, and then he goes into this. Luckily for me, he can't actually activate its effect because I have the King Calamity, and he realizes that and concedes because that was like his only play. Let me just show some at Ignister games. There's gonna be another one after this, of course. And I have a pretty decent hand here that just allows me to get out the Red Supernova Dragon, which I'm very happy about every time I can bring it out. Didn't really find anything interesting here other than Red Rain, so I'll take what I can get, I guess. At least it'll be able to... oh, also he Nibiru's me. At least it has 3000 defense, which is good enough. Also, I'm just gonna be like, oh, you Nibiru'd my perfect setup for Red Supernova Dragon. Well, good thing my deck can summon an additional one. So I'm just gonna heal for 4000 and then summon a Red Supernova Dragon anyways. So that's just one way you can play around Nibiru, I guess. But yeah, that could have been 2 Red Supernova Dragons in that game. Also, they... so many times they have Call by the Grave, I tell you that much. That would have been so nice to refill my hand. I'm trying to find a good time where I can just banish his entire board. I'm not sure when the best time with Ignister is, but I figured that after he play the AI land, that's probably when it's a good time to do it. Obviously here I can just use the Red Rain and then he ends his turn and actually concede, so I didn't even need to worry about that. Here we have a bit more exciting Ignister game. He has a 1 day of peace, so he can just end his turn instantly. Which, honestly, I'm fine with. I don't need to really do any damage to him. Obviously, Ash Blossom didn't have a way to deal with that. And then he also has a Max C. And he have infinite impermanence as well. Honestly, he should probably have saved it. If he know what I was up to, he would probably have saved it. But I think he was scared of what I could find in my deck. At this stage, I'm like pretty sure when I want to banish his entire board, and I also have the Forbidden Droplet just in case stuff goes wrong. But generally speaking, against Ignister, the best time to time the effect is after they have the AI land on the board, because that kind of limits their plays. Just removing that from the field. Of course, he's already used his normal summon, and he couldn't special summon, so he had to discard cards and take some damage. And at this stage, I'll just summon another Red Supernova Dragon, just because I can. Of course, I can't, because Ash Blossom, again, the second one. And I still don't have Call by the Grave or Cross Out Designator to deal with it. Decided to just go into a Bane. Not really sure why I decided to put down the hit right, whatever. I think I just wanted some damage in on him. Get him a bit low. Which is kind of a mistake, because currently in the deck that I'm using in this duel, I don't actually have the Scarlight in my deck, which was kind of what I was playing around with my mind. That, oh, I can just Scarlight him for 1000 damage whenever. Since it's not Cyber Dragon and I know this, I can just use the extra Monster Zone, and then I have a pretty good setup here against him. And honestly, I can just use the Hydride and I can use some cards in hand to negate effects. I felt like this is a good effect to just get rid of. And then I can also get rid of the Idle Reborn. He plays another one. This is odd. Honestly, I should probably have saved the Forbidden Droplet here. And I also kind of make a mistake here by activating the Red Supernova Dragon a bit too early. I should have waited a bit with it. There were no real threat to it. Like, this is the problem, that he can just go into this. And honestly, at this stage, that's... After now, this is when the next monster effect, which would be this one, this is when I should have activated Supernova Dragon. He wouldn't have been able to do anything there. But it's not really a big deal, and I'm not too scared, because I know I get my Red Supernova Dragon back, I have a Dark Ruler no more, and I have more plays in my hand. So I wasn't too scared, but it was definitely a bad idea, especially since I know that I needed to use it after the AI land. I just guess I didn't think it through too much. Honestly, feels bad for me, considering that I could have prevented all of this. Keep in mind, I'm still not too scared, because I know I have what I need in my hand, and my Red Supernova Dragon of course comes back. So he prevented himself from taking damage there and still returned my thing to the extra deck. I actually didn't have any, Psi Reflectors, so I used the effect but realized, oh wait, I don't have any anymore, so I go into the backup plan. And honestly, this is enough to just finish him off, and I just, you know, I keep playing, because he did return that to my extra deck, and I just negate just in case. But that doesn't matter, like, I had the second monster. So what I instantly noticed with this deck is it's a grassy screener deck, which means I'll do anything to get a King Calamity down on this turn, which I have enough stuff to do, so it's fine by me. I'll just get a King Calamity down, and then he's gonna concede. That's at least what I'm thinking. So I have the setup, I'm like, okay, so that's the only card you get to play. At least that's what I'm thinking at this stage. Obviously, he's gonna play a bit more stuff. Regardless, I get out the things I need, and then I set up for the OTK next turn. At least that's, again, what's going through my mind here. But I recalled something happening that went quite up to plan. Of course, I also chained this correctly so that the King Calamity effect blocked him from activating anything at all. So he plays the Link Kuriboh, which is kind of a problem for my whole OTK play. And then also he has the Dynamiscus. So he just gets rid of my King Calamity anyways. So I never expect my Red Supernova Dragon to be able to be taken down in combat at all. Especially if I can, you know, negate an effect, which I'm gonna obviously negate the Link Kuriboh's effect. So here the smart play is to take out the Link Kuriboh with the hot Red Dragon Archfiend Abyss, and not my Red Supernova Dragon, just because I'm flexing on him. I'm like, oh yeah, everything's going according to plan, and you are screwed. But no, he has a Dark Honest. The guy manages to have a Dark Honest, which delays this game another turn. I do have the Pride backup plan to go into 2 Abyss, because I have the Red Rain and an extra monster down, so I can, you know, prevent them from being affected by everything, which, that's my plan. This is actually kind of bad for him to activate, because it means that the Dynamiscus get just banished right away by the Red Rain. But yeah, he ends up conceding. Keep in mind this is season 4, so Platinum is the highest rank. Feel like it's maybe important to show some people. They're in a different order here because they actually play order and not in video entertaining order, I guess. Also, keep in mind that if you're interested in knowing my deck list, there'll be like a info markup in the top right corner up there. In the description and in the pinned comment, there'll be a link to a video that goes over my deck list at the end of that video. Also goes over the whole like synchro summoning combo with the Halgriff and Brax if you're interested in that. So hope you guys enjoyed this. I'll see you again next time.